Hi, TK students. It's Mrs. Balatesh. I'm glad to be with you today. You guys have been doing such a great job in class learning about wood. I hear you had a fun time using the sandpaper last week. Remember, you can use sandpaper to rub on wood and it makes it smoother. Wood is a very interesting material. First, it grows, right? It's from a tree. So we can plant seeds for trees and grow more wood. And we can use wood to do lots of things. And wood can be a stick. This is a stick I found outside. I also have some bark. Look at all of this, like bumps and crevices on this bark that I found outside. So this is natural, right? This stick and this bark just grew on the tree. They were not changed. But we can also take wood and cut it into pieces. So this is it is a natural piece of wood, but it's been changed by people in the lumber yard. They cut it into specific pieces. Now, let's take a look at this one. This one, I kind of call this oatmeal wood. It's called particle board, but it kind of looks like oatmeal to me. And what it is made of is actually sawdust. Sawdust and glue. And that's kind of amazing. First, I want to take a really close look at some wood pieces. When woodworkers work with wood, sometimes they shave it. They shave off pieces to make it smoother. And so when they do that, they have these pieces like this, and those are called wood shavings. Wood shavings are bigger pieces of wood. And then there's stuff like this. And this is sawdust. At the lumber yard, when people are cutting boards, the saws kick off all of these little tiny pieces. And these little tiny pieces are called sawdust. Now, normally, we might just throw these pieces away, but that's wasteful, right? We want to be very careful with all of our natural resources from the earth. So what people started to do was to take that sawdust and add glue, and then they would make this particle board. So do you notice, do you see, does it look kind of the same? You see those same little pieces of wood? You see those sawdust pieces in the wood? So one of the things I love about particle board, or I sometimes call it oatmeal board, is that you can take something that was waste, sawdust, no one was going to use it, and change its properties, right? Sawdust was just fluffy and not very strong. But when you add it with glue and compress it, squeeze it, you can make some strong wood. We are going to do something like that using another type of wood. And this type of wood is called paper. Paper comes from trees, and we're going to use some recycled paper to make something new. We're going to make a paper mache bowl. So these are the things that you need to get started. You need some scrap paper, you need a bowl, you need some glue, maybe not this much glue, you need some water, and some wax paper. If you don't have wax paper, you can use parchment paper. So first, put a piece of wax paper down on the table so you protect the table. Next, get another piece of wax paper that's bigger than your bowl, and you're going to get a little bit of tape, and you're going to cover your bowl up with wax paper. So now my bowl is all covered with wax paper. When I cover my bowl with wax paper like this, it makes it easier to take the paper mache off of the bowl. Otherwise, sometimes it gets stuck on the bowl. Okay, so now I've got my bowl covered with wax paper, and now I'm going to make a mixture of glue and water. So I have another bowl, and I'm going to add some glue. So I added some water to my glue. So I'd say it's half water, half glue. Maybe a little bit more glue than that, but it's about half and half, and I'm going to stir it up and make sure that it's all mixed together and that you can't see any of the glue. Okay, and then you take a bunch of pieces of paper like this and you dip them in the gluey water. And this is gonna be a little messy and super fun. So I'm gonna dip it into the gluey water, and then I'm gonna use my fingers and kind of squeeze off some of the water. I don't want it to be too wet. And now I'm gonna take my paper and I'm going to put it over the wax paper. I'm gonna put it on top. And I'm gonna do that over and over again. And I'm gonna cover my entire bowl with these strips of paper and glue. I did the whole bottom, and now I need to do the sides. So now I'm gonna get some strips of paper and go around the bowl. And I rub the paper, and so it's nice and smooth. Okay, I finished covering my bowl with paper and gluey water. And now I'm gonna let it sit for a couple of days, and it's going to dry. The water is going to evaporate, and it's gonna get dry and hard. And then I can take the wax paper out, and my entire bowl will slip out, and I will have a bowl made out of paper. I hope you guys had fun with that paper mache. I wanted you to see how we can take materials like wood, like a stick, and change it. We can smooth it with sandpaper. We can cut it into pieces. If we take little tiny pieces of sawdust, we can make particle board, or we can add glue to paper and make it strong and hard. Can you get your science notebook and turn to the page that says, "How are sawdust and shavings different?" And I drew two pictures. And this one is sawdust, and this one is shavings. Sawdust is smaller than shavings. Next week, we are going to take the paper mache bowls off of our bowls, and we can see how we change that paper. I will see you next week. Good job, Cougars.